Welcome to Case Catalyst Automatic Indexing. It's all about the codes. My name is John Gales, and this is Part 2, Codes Used in a Deposition Transcript. We'll be concentrating on entering our codes in the transcript today manually, using include files and macros. Now, as a quick review of Part 1, we created our index template with 3 sections. We have the witness, the exhibits, and the requested information. And we learned that we will be surrounding our witness's name with this code up here, the on and off. This code here will be surrounding the examination. When we get to the exhibits, this code here will be surrounding the number. This code here will be surrounding the description, and the requested information will be surrounded by these codes down here. And if we get into our transcript, we have the witness's name with our sworn blurb or include file. Most likely you have one of these that you bring in when a witness is sworn. This is mine, and you'll see that I have the index heading on A and index heading off A codes built in. But if you were going to do that manually, you can do it by highlighting the name and put your codes inside the underline on and underline off codes so that the underlining does not go with the name over to your index. Now I could hit a shortcut by hitting F4 capital J, and then down in the bottom you'll see enter A through Z or 0 through 9. We are using A for our witness, so I would just type in A, and you see that the codes have gone in there. So if I take those back out, I can do this again by just making sure I'm up on the top part, hitting F, S, I, going to index heading on, and then there's our prompt in the bottom left, type A, and our codes go in that way. Next we get down to the examination. I've got my underline codes in there already. So we will want to jump ahead of that. And now if you remember, just going to highlight my examination by Mr. Stefik. And I can go up to format codes, type in I to get down to the I's. And now we are looking for the index on code. There it is. The shortcut, that is a capital I for the shortcut. Double click on that. And down in the lower left we get our prompt. And we were using A for our witness and the examination, so I type in A. And now our codes. The index A, index on A, and index off B are surrounding our examination. You might have a stroke that you use to insert this, and then it's easy to include the indexing codes right in there so that you don't have to do this. Another way, the way that I do this when I'm editing, is to use easy text keys. So I would hit F4, Shift 2 in my examination comes out. I do it in one line, but you'll see that I have my codes right in there. Now, the way I have this set up, I have this set up in 2 lines because I think a lot of people do it like this. You'll notice this new line paragraph. When we get to creating the index, I will show you an option to tell Case Catalyst to ignore that, so that in our index, this examination by Mr. Stefik would come out in 1 line. Now, let's go to an exhibit, and I believe I have my exhibit. Let's use our amended complaint here, and if I go over by the number and right click, a little trick you can do is go right to your index entry. If you created the index and something didn't look right, it's an easy way to jump to where your codes were to see what you did wrong. Now, here you'll see I have the number 3 is in red. If I hit reveal codes, you'll see that I have my index heading on B and off B codes surrounding the number 3. The stick pin is hidden text, and I have that holding the description of the exhibit. You'll see index on B, then my description, amended complaint, index off B. So if I did get rid of these codes, you can do this just as you did the name. Index heading, we're looking for index heading again. Index heading on, and then down here with our prompt. Now we're on exhibits, so exhibits are B. I type my B, and there the codes go right in. And I'm going to delete this. And in this case, the description was set out real nice in the text here, so I can just highlight amended complaint. I can hit Control-C for copy, and I just like my index descriptions going close. So I moved the cursor back up here. I can hit Edit, Insert, Hidden Text, and now I can go to FS, our format symbols here, and do it the same way. Now we want index on, and our code is, our prompt appears right here in the lower left of this yellow box, and we're using B. So B will go in. I can now hit Control-V to paste in what I copied, and then I can just double click on off, and you have to hit the B again. There it is, and then once that's in there, it's easy if you want to, say, capitalize this for your index. I will hit that. Now, another way to do this, I'm going to delete this again. You might want to use, for the description, you might want to use an include file, something such as this. Now, this is a blank file except for a little stick pin. If I click on that, you'll see I just have the codes in there by themselves. If I go back to my transcript, I can hit F9. There's my include file. Let's type it open, and there it is. And now it's ready for me to type in my description. That's a little faster that way. And I'm going to erase it again. And now I will demonstrate a couple macros that I have created that I think make this go even faster. The first is when the description is nicely said in the testimony. I can highlight what I want to use. And then I have it, part of my keyboard, I have Control-Shift-3. And my computer's lagging a little bit. If I hit, okay, now you see that put in that stick pin. If I go in there, the codes are there with amended complaint, and I even have, as part of my macro, to use a cap next, so the first word is capitalized, and then if I want, I can just simply capitalize the C. Over another, let me get rid of that. Another macro that I have set up, I have assigned to Control-Shift-4, and that just brings up the hidden text box with the on B and off B codes and my cursor right between them, ready for me to insert the description. So that's, and then I just hit OK. So that makes entering these codes much faster. If I go over to the exhibit number and reveal codes, I'm going to take out now. I have another macro set up to put the codes around the number 3. If I just hit Control-Shift-1, done. And you'll see it's red again. If I go to reveal codes, you see the codes are back in there. So that makes it much faster. And I'll be making these macros available if they would happen to work in your index, or if you want to use the index that we're using. Now, let's see, I had another, to go back to our I guess this is the same circumstances. I have the codes in here already. I won't repeat the same process. One thing I will do is tell you about another macro. Sometimes you might have marked several exhibits early in the deposition, and when the attorney hands the witness the next exhibit, he might say, "I'm handing you a photograph. Can you identify this?" And he won't say the number. You'll know, you might know the number, I hope you do. And if you want to index that, I have another macro that I just hit Control-Shift-2, and the index heading on B and headings off B codes come in. And let's say it's number 2. I can just type the exhibit number there and hit OK, and that's another fast way of getting that in there. Let me get rid of that. And let me show you another way of manually entering the codes. Let's stay right here. If you would hit Edit, Insert, and then go down to Make Exhibit Index Entries, click on that. Now another box comes up and it'll say exhibit range. So you can do one at a time here, or you can do many. Let me show you how to do one. Let's just use our number 5 here. I'll type a 5. B is already in our box, and that is the letter we're using for our indexes, for our exhibits. And if you remember right, the index heading surrounds the number, and the index on and off codes surround the description. So we're going to do that all in one with this little box here. And for now, we're not using cells, so keep that clicked. And then the sample text will tell you how the codes look, so you know that you're doing it right. So we've got the index heading on B. In their sample, they're just using number 12, the off. And then the index on B, the description, and then an index off. So that's exactly how we want it. And then down here it says, I want to add description text. And we'll keep that yes, or clicked. I'll type OK. And then another box comes up. We have our exhibit number up here. And then we can put our description here. Let's just say it's a photograph. I can hit then done. And now that's stick pin appears, and all the codes are in one little hidden box. Index heading on B, off B, index on B, photograph, index off B. So that's a nice little way to do it also. I don't use that very much because I use my macros, but I find it very helpful though when you're doing multiple exhibits at once. Let's say up here, I have a very short blurb here, but let's say you're handed a little pile of photographs to mark, and you happen to mark when exhibits, you index when exhibits are marked as opposed to identified, which I do. So to use this built-in feature, I will go to Edit again, Insert, Make Exhibit Index Entry. So our range now is 5 through 10. And the rest of the boxes stay the same. And now, when I hit, let's say they're all photographs. I can click this repeat description, click done, and you just made 5. If you go to Reveal Codes, you can see all the hidden text down here. So that's a very handy feature if you're doing multiple exhibits at once. I found an interesting thing here when I was preparing for this. If I delete, this one is 5. If I delete that, another stick pin appears, which is 6. So I'm just going to delete these so it doesn't. And 10, our last one. So those are different ways of entering codes. Let me get down to our last section, which is the requested information. I'm going to go to this entry, and you'll see that the attorney is making a request for the fee agreements in this case. If I click on the stick pin, you'll see my index heading on C, and You can tell I use my macro because the cap next code is in there, fee agreements, and then the index on and off at the end. So you can enter those codes the same way we've been entering other codes. It's important to remember the letters for each section or heading that you're using so that everything gets indexed correctly. And I believe that covers how to enter your codes. Let me go up to where we have our index. I'm going to delete this. Go to Tools, Index, Delete Index. So now you see that I have my appearance, caption and appearances, and then I go right into the text. So now I want to create my index. But before we do that, Case Catalyst has to know where to put it. If you don't tell it where you want it, Case Catalyst by default will put it at the end of your file. For me, I want my index to appear right after the caption and appearances. And you're most likely going to be using an include file or some kind of template for your title pages. So what you want to do on that is, if I hit review codes, you'll see this code right here, index position. So you want to make that a part of your title page, and you don't have to put a blank page after it. You just put the code in there, and that tells Case Catalyst that when it creates the index, to do it right after that page you're on. So that's in there, and you can run your index from anywhere. So let me just go to Tools, go down to Index, and Build Index. And then you'll be prompted to use an index template. I have that checked. And the path to it, the one we have created for this video series is called Video Template Deposition. And that's already in there, so I don't have to browse to find it. And let me go into options first. And if you remember, let me cancel this. If you remember, when we got to our examination here, we had this on 2 lines, and we have that code to put a new line paragraph. When we do our index, when we make our index, we want this examination by on 1 line. So if I go up to Tools, Index, Build Index, and go into Options, you will see Ignore Paragraph Formatting, and I have this yes, and there's a little explanation down here to tell you what that means. Basically, it's going to ignore that extra line paragraph. And you only have to do this the first time when you run your index. I'll just hit OK. And then I have the right template picked. I'm ready to go. And it's done. If I go to look at the pages, you can see that everything is filled in very nicely. It looks good. But I noticed one thing with Exhibit 15, it has stretched beyond my line 25, and the description is covering 2 pages. I don't like the way that looks. So I could go right up in here between these tables and hit a couple returns to put some blank lines in there, but I don't really want to do that. So I have created a macro. If I put my cursor by the 15 there, and I've got this as part of my toolbar, my macro toolbar, I can just click on split index. It'll take this 15, split the table, put it on the next page, and then also, as you see, put in a couple descriptive header rows. Now if I look at it here, you'll see now that what it has done, which looks a lot nicer. And that is all there is to entering your codes and creating your witness, your index page. So thanks for watching. Part 3 will be covering working with a trial or court transcript and the index. Goodbye.